Hi there, my name's Karen Griffith. I'm an inner freedom and embodiment coach. Due to limitations on my subscriptions, I am going to record my videos till such time I can go live. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about was a subject I don't often hear covered on YouTube. I could be wrong. I'm open to that being the case, but I'm going to move forward in the eventuality that somebody hears me and is in need of what I have to share. Now, I hear a lot of talk about manifestation, if you want to manifest things, but the reality is you're manifesting all the time. So the question then becomes, if you're manifesting all the time, how do you start to do it consciously? Because like I said, we're manifesting all the time, but actually 90% of it could be stuff that we're not aware of unconsciously. So it's bringing a light to that. So that brings me on to today's topic, really, distractions and how to work through them. Now, I read an interesting book a few weeks ago that I'm going to highlight in the posts so that you could maybe take a look and read for yourself. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I wasn't much a fan of Think and Grow Rich, even though I read the black edition, and I think it's more to do with I couldn't quite grasp the law of compensation, and I think it also covers an element of law of attraction, which is a very popular law, universal law. I'm going to assume there's some understanding of the laws. If there isn't, please let me know in the comments and I'm happy to expand on that at a later date. But just stay with me here. The laws he talks about is often the law of compensation. I struggled with Think and Grow Rich. It just didn't resonate with me at all. That said, Outwitting the Devil did. It made complete sense to me. It talks about the law of hypnotic rhythm. In other words, the habits, good or bad, that can basically knock us off course towards the things that we want. And I'll touch on that in a bit. So you've got this book. It was written by Napoleon in 1938, yet it wasn't published to 2011. The reason being there was concern from his family that the uproar it could cause, and rightly so. He openly criticises both churches and the school system, considering he wrote those books in 1938, and we're seeing a lot of what we're seeing with parents homeschooling children and recognising, I know certainly it's true for me that the stuff I learnt in school I haven't used, not one jot. I can't even say that I've used the stuff that I got from university. I had to upskill in the areas that matter. So again, it brings me to the point that the book raises two key points. Distractions, as in the law of hypnotic rhythm, and habits that they create, which moves you either towards or away from your purpose and what is meaningful to you. And it's very easy in today's society, which is basically designed with the information overload that we find ourselves in and the instantaneous access that digital offers us. We can easily get knocked off course. So the invitation in my sharing today is to really see what is there for you when I go into a few examples, and I'll give you one right now in respect of how I easily got knocked off course and distracted without knowing it, not consciously anyway, and the impact that had. Facebook, social media, for example, I was finding that I was scrolling, in some ways doom scrolling, depending on my mindset at the time. And that's important to really note how much those 2 seconds there, that builds into half an hour, and before you know it, you're buying something. That's certainly been my experience. Can you relate? So another example I would offer is another distraction I found was interruptions via email. Now, yes, I agree. I can choose what time I was looking at my emails, but in a work context, I found that I was so responsive to the point where the urgency of the emails, even if it wasn't a task that required my attention right then and there, I would sometimes stop what I was doing to look at email just because it came in and it depended on the person. I would probably attend to the request if there was one inside of the email. So again, my point is, how easily distracted are you from what matters to you, what is purposeful? And that's what the book so eloquently covers in Outwitting the Devil, which I invite you to read and really see for yourself what you're allowing that is knocking you off course to your purpose. Because when you're purposeful, you align yourself with the people, places, things that can help you meet those goals of yours that are intrinsic to your to your life, to your pleasure, to your joy, to your fulfillment. So, what's the antidote? There's a number of things that I could suggest. I'm going to invite you to pick the one thing that resonates. Through my experience, what has helped me with cultivating a presence, and I use the word presence because when you're distracted, sometimes it could be that you're distracting yourself with things that are either going to happen in the future or things that you can't change, can't do anything about, that happened in your past. Present allows you to deal with whatever's in front of you, and sometimes that's required in the here and now. So with that in mind, it brings me on to a practice called mindfulness, and to help you recognize that it could be possible that if you've got coming up for you an anxious or overwhelmed state, and that happens quite frequently, and that's kind of like your baseline, which is true for me not so long ago, that something like mindfulness can really help you to cultivate a practice that helps you to recognize moments of stillness and to embrace them, so that you can have some sort of quiet time, so you really notice what is going on for you in the moment, because there's distractions all the time, and those are distractions that can be quite costly. So habits being one of them, good, bad habits or negative habits, I would recommend two further resources. And after reading Napoleon Hill, I'll probably prioritise it like that, see what feels good for you, if it resonates at all. The most well-known one is James Clear, Atomic Habits. I would suggest, if you can, maybe running a book club. I'm open to doing that. If there's enough interest. I already run a book club called the Queen's Code, but I suggest James Clear because he's probably the more wider known. Not so much, but it's on point in terms of the resources and direct, applicable, actionable, I call, steps that you can take. Is BJ Fogg, Tiny Habits. He's got a website, tinyhabits.com. The reason why I mention him, because he is a scientist based at Stanford University, and he's also been commented and credited in James Clear book. And what he helps you to grasp or consider is anchoring habits into existing habits. So I'll give you an example. When you wake up in the morning, one of my practices is to be thankful for being alive and giving gratitude, and consulting with my guides, so to speak, and to God. Just something to consider, like as an example. Or another thing I do is when I intend to work out in the morning and I anchor the last thing at night, I lay out my gym kit and I have it ready so that I know that that's what I'm going to do in the morning, so that I work out and I'm committed to that practice. And again, James covers this in his book as well. So I've got some notes. I just want to make sure that I've covered everything. So I'll give you a rundown of what I've spoken about. The invitation to read Outwitting the Devil. There's 2 key points in the book. For me, that jumped out as alarm bells that I needed to even deepen. Law of hypnotic rhythm, which is handling your distractions, creating the habits that might not be serving you. So those are the things that you can look out. I'll drop a link to my daily habits group if you'd like to join. That's for ladies, a space for them, and I can support them. I've got a ton of resources in there, and I give some motivational and evidence-based tools and resources. If that sounds like something you need help with, then I've got and also another group. If you're cultivating the antidote, this is to distractions. One of them that's worked for me is mindfulness. I'll mention others as we go on that I've worked on, and ones that have worked for the clients that work with me. I have also a separate group for that called the Richness of Life, of Everyday Life. I think that's, God, I can't even remember my own group. How embarrassing. But I will have that noted down for you if you'd like to join there. Really take a look at, if you are struggling with purpose. I know this comes up a lot for people, that don't worry about it. It will come. Just devote time to it. James Clear always talks about that 1%, 15 minutes. So if you can find those 15 minutes where you can be still and sit with yourself and think through the kind of things you enjoy doing, focus on that, then out of that could create something, a step of exploration, and that's really introspective. That requires you to go in, which can be uncomfortable, in which case I'm on hand for support if you like to talk things through and see what's there for you. So that's the end of this video for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Please hit subscribe, share if there's anybody that you know that's in need of some help or support. I cover the health coaching in respect of deep diving into wellness. I also cover femininity, energy management, which is really critical, clarity, mindset, all the real good stuff that can help you move towards what is wanted and manifesting, more importantly, the things that you really desire in life. So please comment and share. I would love to hear your thoughts. Any topics and suggestions, I'm open to that. Just drop them below or reach out to me if that's more comfortable for you instead of publicly. Thank you very much.